All right, welcome back to the Friendly Rivals podcast. My name is Harrison Tarr, joined by my co-host, Mr. William Clack. Will, good to have you. Good to see you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Good to be back.
Good to be back. We are now on break, finished with finals, so now we actually have an opportunity to get rolling on this and make this actually something that we can routinely put out. But today was the day that I guess it was a sign that we had to get back in the booth because big news around the SEC today. Go ahead and jump right into it, Clack, if you're cool with it. Gus Malzahn is out at Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Yep.
is something that if you are even a casual SEC fan, it probably confused you or surprised, not confused, but surprised you. I'm going to run down real quick the details of what all that means. Auburn AD Allen Green informed the media earlier today that Gus Malzahn was going to be relieved immediately of his duties. That's effective immediately. Auburn University owes him $21 million. The first
Yeah.
half is due by the end of the month, so they owe him $10.5 million by the end of the month. And Malzahn is instantly eligible to go look elsewhere for jobs. And the coaching hunt did not take long to heat up, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. For Auburn, there's a slew of names that are being thrown around, of the likes of Mike Gundy, Hugh Freeze, you name it, they've been tossed around. Urban Meyer, a lot of big time hires that I don't necessarily know if are feasible, but we're going to get into that. Clack, first off, before we get into this, I just wanted to give one little personal anecdote about Coach Malzahn, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
From a non-biased standpoint, in my job, working at the Auburn Plainsman as the lead sports reporter there, my first press conference ever was with Coach Malzahn. I actually think I remember texting you and saying, dude, I'm 10 feet away from Coach Malzahn, sending him a Snapchat.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, regardless of what we're about to say, Gus Malzahn may not have brought Auburn to the heights that Auburn fans wanted him to bring him to. You will never find a more genuine human than you will find in Gus Malzahn and Christy Malzahn and their family. Regardless of how you feel, the viewers feel, Clack, about the firing and whether or not that was necessary, I do want to put it out there that regardless of the win or loss record, Malzahn was what Auburn fans should consider to be a true Auburn man. And I owe him a lot of my early experience in media and sports writing for making it so easy to talk to him and being friendly when we're not on the record. I do appreciate everything Coach Malzahn has done for me. And I would hope and employ any Auburn fans to be appreciative for what he's done for the program, regardless of whether or not you're happy with products on the field. What's done is done. And it's time for Auburn fans to look forward and be optimistic about the future. So, Clack, I'm going to open the floor to you now. Thoughts on the hiring? Go ahead and spit it out.
I think it was kind of weird. I thought, honestly, he might have had one more year in him. I thought maybe they'd give him a break this year because it has been a weird year with COVID and everything. But we've talked about this before. I think he should have been fired maybe 2 years ago. He had a good start to his career at Auburn, obviously. And it made it, I thought he was going to do a lot better, especially with all the talent there. It just seems that his offensive scheme hasn't panned out on the field. And he hasn't decided to change it. And you've given me the rundown every year of how who calls the plays, the first couple of games, and then it switches and then it comes back. But I think this was a big step, especially for Auburn. I know it's a big buyout, $21 million. That's a lot of money.
To swallow.
Yeah, I believe he was 2 years into his 7-year contract. Is that correct? Oh, three.
Resigned, Resigned his first year, and his extension was 2018.
I got you. Okay. Well, I think it's a little bit overdue. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't think it was going to happen this week, let alone this year at all. I really thought it might be next year. We might wait till the end of this season at least. But, he went out with a win, I guess. But, no, you're right. Gus Malzahn, I know he'll be fine. He'll find a job somewhere. I don't think anybody should be worried about that. And I think Auburn needs to pursue Urban Meyer heavily. I think that would be a good hire, a very good hire. Obviously, he's a proven winner, like me and you've talked about. We may have differing opinions on him, but as a person, but he does win college football games, and that would be a huge pickup. Like we were talking earlier, maybe Hugh Freeze, maybe Luke Fickell from Cincinnati, maybe that would be a good one. But it's balls in y'all's court, I guess.
The ball is in Auburn's court, and I'm with you. I do think personally that this is the correct step for Auburn football. I actually have a hunch, reading some boards, and I can't say this definitively because obviously everything's up in the air. I woke up this morning in Starkville, Mississippi, and I told you I was excited because I didn't think I was going to have to deal with the coaching change over Christmas because no one wants, regardless of the amount of money Malzahn was just given, no one wants to talk about somebody losing their job around Christmas time.
That's true.
And I woke up this morning thinking that I was just going to take my sweet time coming back to Auburn after a win from Mississippi State last night. Figured Malzahn had punched his ticket to be the head coach in the 2021-22 campaign, and the world changed. And so I can't speak with confidence, but I have a hard time believing that we won't know within the next 72 hours who will be the next head coach at Auburn University. I have a very hard time believing that there's not already been conversation, because the fact that Malzahn goes out after a win means that this was premeditated. And I don't mean that in a malicious way, but the decision had to have already been made. And it probably made more than a week ago, because in all reality, the boosters at Auburn did not get together after the Texas A&M loss and say, hey, that's the last straw. It would have been South Carolina. This would have been a scenario where if this was a decision they were going to make concluding the regular season after the regular season finale, they would have already talked about it. This was already known. And there's a lot of speculation around, did Malzahn know going into yesterday, especially, he reverted back. I know this is a little detail you probably haven't noticed because I don't know how much, Auburn and Georgia play at the same time a lot, and it's your job to watch the Georgia games. But all year he'd been paying tribute to Pat Dye wearing the Pat Dye hat.
I had noticed that.
And yesterday he went back to his conventional sweater vest and visor. You almost wonder, did he know? Was it the last ride? But I think there's a lot of speculation, and I think that's just a lot of just that. I just think it's speculation. I don't think that that's something that, A, we will ever know, and B, that, to be quite honest with you, the general public never needs to know. And that's between Alan Green and Gus Malzahn. I don't think that this was malicious toward the Malzahns, and I really hope that no one holds a grudge against what was a lackluster 8-year tenure. But like him or not, he was a key aspect in the 2010 national championship, and he was the sole proprietor of the 2013 season. Lucky or not, that's up to speculation. I'm sure you don't want to talk about the prayer and Jordan Hare, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me now is, who's it going to be? Because it had to have been almost already decided. I think that it's a stretch for me to believe that Luke Fickell would have already been on the phone, given the fact that he's concentrated right now on getting his team prepared for an AAC conference championship, which is by far the best Group of 5 conference there is. And that's just a statement of fact. So I have a hard time believing that Fickell's been distracting himself, with interviewing for other jobs, even though it is pretty widely known that if a Big Ten team comes knocking on his door, he's going to take a job. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think Hugh Freeze is a long shot gamble. I think that he's a proven winner. But at the same time, he comes with a lot of baggage. And Auburn already has NCAA sanctions against basketball head coach Bruce Pearl. Would they be willing to know that they're going to be under 24-hour surveillance under a microscope for the NCAA? That's something that Auburn is going to have to decide. And the biggest thing is, in my opinion, this is probably the biggest coaching change Auburn's ever going to see. For the sheer purpose of, and sheer implications of, this is the first time that Auburn's actually had to go through a coaching search and not hired from within since Pat Dye. Don't know if you recollect, Pat Dye a long time before we were born. So, and Auburn has always hired from within. So, are they going to promote Kevin Steele? I hope not, for the sake of Kevin Steele is not a proven head coach. I don't think that's a good hire for anyone, and I think it's a bad look for Alan Green. I don't think that'll happen. I think that Hugh Freeze is too edgy, but I do think they're going to hire outside of the program. I think Urban Meyer turning down the Texas job is a telltale that he's probably not interested to actually listening to phone calls until that USC job opens. I do think that could happen, and that USC job seems like it's getting more and more secure every day.
Yeah, I was about to say that they won the other day.
So that's something else to keep into consideration. The name Lane Kiffin keeps being thrown around. I have a hard time seeing him leave Ole Miss after 1 year. I think he will leave eventually, but I think there's a lot of people throwing around a lot of speculations. But I would not be surprised if we know Monday morning. Best fit, most likely fit. Go ahead. Best fit, most likely hire. Go ahead, Clack.
Best fit? What do you mean by that? Like what you would want? Is that what you're saying?
If you're Alan Green, AD at Auburn, your best fit. Who do you think is the best fit? We're going to assume Urban Meyer's not going to come out, because if he was going to come out, Herman would be gone to Texas, and he would.
That was going to be mine. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're right about Fickle. I don't think he's going to come out. I think he's sticking with Cincinnati anyways. Plus, they got a lot on their mind anyways. They have a chance at the playoffs, so I think he's going to be focused up there. I don't think it's him. You're right about like us knowing soon, because this obviously had been thought about and planned. I maybe Hugh Freeze. I mean, that's who I think it would be.
That feels like the most likely hire. It does. And personally, if I'm an Auburn fan, I don't hate the hire. Hugh Freeze is a winner. The question is the university are the donors, which we've learned in the past. We've learned in the past 24 hours that the donors really do drive all the decisions at Auburn. Are they okay with Hugh Freeze? Or are they still too caught up in the has to be the definition of an Auburn man, which I'm not taking anything away from Gus Malzahn's character. Don't get that twisted. But if that was the case, they would have stuck with Malzahn, right?
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
If you're judging, if you value character over what you value wins, you would have stuck with Malzahn. Because Malzahn's going to win you 7-8 games a year. You're going to get a ball game. So I have a hard time thinking that they wouldn't be okay with Hugh Freeze, but I also have a hard time just buying into that.
Sure.
That being said, my most likely hire, like I said, it's a toss-up. I think there's actually a real world, from everything I've read, that the board is giving Kevin Steele hard consideration. Would be a gamble.
Let me interject here. What about Mario Cristobal?
I was getting there.
Sorry.
I was getting there.
I was like,
you actually took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Because after I was going to mention Kevin Steele, actually, from what I've heard, is in consideration for the job. And for what he's done at Auburn, he should get an interview. I don't think he should get the position. The best fit, and it's taken me 8 hours or so since the news came out. It's been almost 8 hours, 7 hours since the news broke, to process. Cristobal may be the best fit, and also the most likely hire if Auburn can make it happen. The problem is they're stuck with another $6 million to buy him out from Oregon, and it's going to be a house cleaning. So how much are you going to suffer? You're already assuming that, National Signing Day being on Wednesday, you're going to lose a lot, and you may flip a few if you name a coach in the next 24 hours. So it's a give and take. His track record at Oregon has been great. He's a product of Nick Saban. Do you trust a product of Nick Saban to have to face Nick Saban every year to win?
No,
because it's never happened.
It's never happened. No. The definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing.
To be fair, right now there are two coaches in the SEC that play Nick Saban every year that are prodigies. Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Jeremy Pruitt, both playing at programs that Auburn has defeated this year. If you put a Nick Saban prodigy as the head coach at Auburn and play them every year, do you wind up having more or less or equal success as Malzahn did against Saban?
That's actually interesting to say that. I thought Malzahn did a pretty good job against Bama.
Against the Nick Saban coach Alabama team, he did better
Three
than anyone
three
else.
wins, 3 wins in 8 seasons. That's not bad. I mean, there's nothing to complain about
Right.
against
They're
Nick
right.
Saban. Um, you don't hire Pruitt. I mean, I
Oh,
wouldn't
I'm
give
not
Pruitt.
throwing Pruitt in that at all. I'm
Yeah,
talking about Cristobal. Pruitt's not going to have a job by the end of this year.
yeah. I was like, oh, I hope you're not talking about Pruitt
Everything
because
that I've read,
he is.
Pruitt may be fired before the bowl game if they
Yeah.
make a bowl
Well, their 3 win season. Yeah, no. I don't know. Do you bring? I mean, Cristobal, I think he's a great coach. I think he's done a lot of good things at Auburn. And I think it's very possible that he could come to Auburn, especially with Oregon, they're not really panning out this season. I mean, they're not going to make the playoff. I don't think any Pac 12 teams are going to be in the playoff. So, I mean, it seems likely that he would probably be because I don't know
game.
why.
And he's been tied to having interest to the job.
Yeah, no, of course, and
So
I think that would be a good hire. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's gonna come out and beat Nick Saban every year because I don't believe that. Um, I honestly, I don't know. 3-5 against Nick Saban's a pretty good record.
yeah,
Um, uh, I, I mean, Cristobal's a good coach. I'll give it to him, but I don't think you would have as much success as you did with
it's a toss up.
Malzahn. And like you said earlier, with National Signing Day being on Wednesday, the early period, this could hurt recruiting.
Oh, it will hurt recruiting. The
Well,
question is,
actually, it already did. I already saw
I saw
earlier today there was a D end who's a heavy Auburn lean, and as soon as Malzahn got
FSU
fired, he switched
more
to
than likely
FSU.
flipping this year. Yes,
Yeah,
and
uh,
that's going to happen in every coaching change scenario,
but I
and
mean,
that's okay.
there's also the flip of the coin where you're right. You could flip some recruits. Cristobal's obviously got a strong relations to West Coast recruits. So, I mean, it's kind of up in the air right there. But, it just all depends on the hire. I think if you were somehow able to pull Urban Meyer, I think that would be amazing. I think that
I
would.
feel like Urban Meyer's the given. Like they had to call Urban, right?
Yeah,
That had to
I,
happen.
I feel like if you got Urban Meyer, that would be the best case scenario for you. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
Um, Cristobal would probably be the second best option. If
I would
I
agree. I would agree. It'll be interesting too because you assume Chad Morris leaves. He's gone. Regardless, I think that regardless of whoever they turn the reins over to, if he doesn't leave under his own will, he will be terminated. He will be relieved of duties. I don't think that there will be 2 years of Chad Morris offense at Auburn. I don't think the boosters would stand for it, and I don't think that any head coach would. So there's that. There's a domino effect. A lot of things going on in Auburn, Alabama right now. Definitely the talk of the SEC up until this upcoming weekend, where we've got kind of a big game in Atlanta. That being said, let's transition over to. We wanted to talk. You and I spoke on the phone for a while earlier today, talking ball as Clack and I usually do,
yeah.
about most improved teams and most took the biggest step backwards teams. I want you to give your 1-1, why and why, or 1-why, 1-why. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna follow up, and if you say what I'm gonna say, then I'll just call an audible and tell you I agree.
I mean, I feel like we both thinking the two teams, but I'm gonna go with a different one. So for my most improved team, I'm obviously gonna go with Arkansas. Uh, Sam Pittman year one, impressive. I know they have 4 wins right now, which by Arkansas standards would be pretty good.
Very.
And he should have 6 wins, I believe.
They were in position to win
They,
6 ball
they
games.
no, they could have easily won 6 ball games. They're going to go to a bowl game. I think they can compete. I think Sam Pittman was a great hire for them. Felipe Franks regaining some confidence there. I believe he has one more year. Well, everybody has one more year
Felipe
because.
Franks has actually been benched.
Oh, really?
They have a true freshman, and he has been balling.
Really?
Yes.
Did he get benched during the Alabama game?
He got benched at the – no, he did not start the Mizzou game.
Really?
Did not see a snap.
Okay. Well, that defense they have, I believe, is good. Obviously, I don't think they're going to be competing with Bama for a while. It's going to take a little bit, but they're definitely headed in the right direction. There's a lot of fight in that team. They played everybody hard, I mean, except for Bama, they got destroyed. But other than that, they
right?
played everybody hard. I think Pittman's got that team going in the correct direction. On the flip side of that coin, most disappointing team, definitely Tennessee. I was going to say LSU, but I think we'll get to that later. Tennessee has been a complete and utter disaster this year, and
Train wreck.
I think Jeremy Pruitt has dug that hole even deeper for Tennessee. I think it's a dumpster fire over there, and I don't think anybody wants that job. I don't think. I mean, I would say get rid of Pruitt, but who are you going to hire? Who wants to go to Tennessee right now?
Especially now that we have the college football has openings with at Auburn and at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, what coach could you see leaving anywhere to go to Tennessee? I don't see anybody going there except for, that would be of Tennessee's, their standards of what they want there.
Right.
I think they're going to have to hold on to Pruitt, which is going to hurt them in the long run because I think he's running the program into the ground even where it was.
Even worse than Butch Jones did, some way.
Some way. I don't know, but Tennessee used to be this perennial power. They were a great team, and just somewhere along the way they fell. And Jeremy Pruitt has done nothing to help that.
I agree.
Yeah, they were supposed to be at least third, maybe second in the East. I didn't think they were going to win the East. They had a very talented offensive line. Some people before the season were saying this was the most talented offensive line in the SEC. They had two great running backs. I know the quarterback situation is a difficult one. I think Harrison Bailey is the best option out of all of them. But me being a Georgia fan, I know about quarterback situations. But yeah, I think Tennessee has taken a major step back, which is not what they needed this year.
I would agree with that. I'll go ahead and just transition to what you were saying. You said the Tennessee is one of the biggest teams to take a step back, and they cannot figure out what they're doing offensively. They can't figure out what they're doing defensively. I'm not sure they know how much a hot dog costs in Neyland Stadium. It really looks like that program is a train wreck, and I do not know I can't even figure out the vision for Pruitt anymore. His recruiting scheme doesn't make sense. And it's becoming more and more evident by the day that he will always be a great coordinator, but he probably should not be a head coach.
Yeah.
And that's just what it'll be. I was actually not going to put Tennessee at my biggest step back. They're up there, and I don't want to mention LSU because LSU's got a weird circumstance that we talked about earlier, and I do want us to talk about LSU after I wrap mine up because that's a weird conversation. I think that the biggest inverse stride, I was going to say South Carolina because some way, somehow they got worse from last year to this year. And Muschamp, did a great job at Auburn and did not correlate whatsoever at South Carolina. I think his signature win must have been Georgia last year, right?
Yeah.
That program was a train wreck. Actually, I'm going to stick with it because I don't understand the Beamer hire either. I was going to say at least they got rid of Muschamp, so they get honorable mention for that. So some retribution for that, but in compensation, if you will. The hire was so unimpressive that it almost was like, okay, so South Carolina's content to get rid of Muschamp and hire Muschamp.
Yeah.
And I don't wish ill upon Beamer. I hope he's successful. I really felt like it was more a hire for the name than it was a hire for coaching abilities. There were better options on the table when they let go of Muschamp. They could have had Freeze. He would have gone. I don't understand it, and I don't know what the logic is there, but I guess I'm going to lock in South Carolina for congrats. You went backwards. Honorable mention goes to Vanderbilt. They continue to get worse, and it blows my mind. It's not that I don't comprehend how difficult it is to recruit football at Vanderbilt. I get it. I understand. But some way, somehow, that football team is worse this year than they were last year. And not only did they lose every game, they got blown out. So I do want to put it out there. I understand there's a coaching change at Vanderbilt. That's great. Hopefully there can be someone that'll come in. Vanderbilt should win 4 games a year. You should win your non-conferences. You'll slip up, and I'll say a 5-7 season should be the standard at Vanderbilt. 6-6 should be a good season. You should win all of your non-cons, and you should win 1 SEC game. And that's just how I feel.
I can agree with that.
But I will commend Vanderbilt this year, and I told you I want to talk about this a little bit before the show. I don't care what anybody says. I miss me. This is just a little side tidbit about Vanderbilt before I go into my most improved. Miss me with the Sarah Fuller's stunt, publicity stunt stuff. I just don't buy in. I thought it was actually a really cool thing that Vandy actually implemented and made me want to watch Vandy football. So I thought it was really neat to actually our generation gets to see the first female score a point in Power 5 football. You look at their roster, they literally did not have a kicker. Did not.
Oh no, they said it in the game the other day. They literally did not. All of them were gone to COVID.
And I did not buy into the publicity stunt. I was like, in my opinion, the girl can kick. The girl can kick. I'm not overly impressed with her legs. She's not going to hit 57-yarders. She's also been kicking footballs for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've seen her kick a soccer ball, and I just know that my leg would fall off. So, but roping it back in, most improved. Arkansas is the given.
Yeah. Arkansas was obvious. I took the easy one. You
took there's 2 easy ones. There's 2 easy ones here. Missouri. Because I would agree if you said Missouri, I was going to say Arkansas. If you said Arkansas, I was going to say Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz, dude, good work. This year has been a shock to me. I was kind of just expecting when we played 10 games, a 5-5 season, 4-6, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? They're heading in the right direction. Started off rocky, and then just figured everything out as the season went on. I get it, blah, 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 blah. They play the East, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. When they're winning football games, Missouri's winning football games. Did they get their butts handed to them by Georgia this weekend? Sure. Okay, cool. Hook them. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're playing a top 10 team in the country. In his first year with none of his own players, Eli Drinkwitz impressed me. And Missouri is headed in the opposite direction that Tennessee is. They are sliding past each other in the SEC.
Yeah. I was about to say that. I think Missouri is going to be miles ahead of Tennessee next year.
I think that if you give Missouri 2 years and let Drinkwitz recruit his own players, they're a genuine tough football team to play in the East. It's worked in the past. Players have wanted to play in Missouri for whatever reason. I wouldn't, but like some people do. But you know what I'm saying? He brought his App State recruiting mentality to a bigger Power 5 university, and it's working. So big ups to University of Missouri because I'm going to give them my honorable mention. Arkansas takes the cake, y'all. This was a shell-shocking season to me.
Thought they were – you can go back to our first episode when we were talking about the season starting. Thought they were going 0-10.
And Pittman has done nothing but surprise me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Sam Pittman should be SEC Coach of the Year, period.
Oh, yeah, without question. I think that's cool.
And then the runner-up should be Eli Drinkwitz, and then your third-place finisher should probably be Nick Saban because, good Lord, is that team good.
I was going to say Lane Kiffin, but okay.
You know what? No, I'll buy in. I'll buy in. As a newcomer, honorable mention Nick Saban. Somehow that really good team last year got better. So, and they lost to Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
For the whole, didn't have
generational talent. But
and Dan Mullen of Florida, honorable mention, but I mean they literally tossed their season last on Saturday night.
Yeah. Every time Dan Mullen does a press conference, I think I begin to not like him more and more.
I was just about to say that. I man, as much as I respect what Dan Mullen can do on the field, he's a proven player. He made Mississippi State good. Nobody wants to go to Mississippi State. I'm sorry, y'all, for our state fans. I'm sure we have like one if Colby watches,
Sorry,
but
Kobe.
but yeah, Mississippi State's a hard place to recruit to.
Yeah.
He had them very, very good. He's done the same at Florida, which is easier to recruit to. They figured out defense halfway through the year, and he has no team discipline. If you look at your elite coaches in the SEC, team discipline, I question it.
I don't know. It's just weird. Marco Wilson's always been a hothead. He's always been there. It seems like I feel like he's been there for years. And just after the game, I don't know if you saw the quote, and he said that Marco Wilson made a football move, and it wasn't on purpose to taunt LSU. What does throwing a shoe halfway down the field do for you? What does that do for you? I'll tell you what it did. It threw away your college football playoff. Any chance you had of getting into the college football playoff,
they had a genuine chance.
Went down the field with that shoe.
They had a legitimate chance if they go to the Alabama game with one loss, regardless of how ugly that LSU game would have been. Yeah. No one would have thought about it.
And okay, we can come back to the Marco Wilson thing for a second. Why was Pitts not playing?
I thought he was still on injury. I thought he re-injured himself.
Because
he's been an injury problem all year.
That's true, but I'm just kind of wondering. It seemed like it was a must-win game, which it was, and they didn't even try to put him in there. They said that he could have played. He thought he could have played. I thought that was kind of dumb. He's the best player on that team. So
I agree.
I don't know. I just thought that was stupid. But back to Marco Wilson.
Come on, man.
You're an idiot. What a boneheaded mistake. And you just can't do that. You can't do that, and it cost your team the game and your college football playoff hopes.
That is the what are you doing moment of the week, because that just obnoxious. And to your point about Dan Mullen, Florida's going to get torn apart in Atlanta. I genuinely think Alabama's going to win by 30.
I completely agree with that.
And first off, we talked earlier. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't think anyone's beating Alabama this year. And I think I've said it before.
I'm right there with you on that one.
But to that point, if Dan Mullen cannot hold this team together in terms of, hey, guys, I need I need you guys – I can't believe I'm saying this because it's like talking to kindergartners. I need you on behavior. I need you respecting your opponent and playing every single down through the whistle, and stop running your mouth, because we can't give Alabama 15. If we give them 15 yards, they'll take 15 points. It's little things like that. And if that doesn't get cleaned up, Florida still looms with the possibility of being a 4-loss team. And that would be a failure, a textbook failure, if you are Dan Mullen. Because this was supposed to be the year. You're losing Trask after this year. He's going to the draft, probably going in the first round. Your defense has shown improvement, and your defense is not all that young. You're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah. They're going to lose offensively. They're going to lose Pitts, Trask, Kadarius Toney. I think all three of those guys could go first round.
I agree. They are loaded with talent.
Yeah.
And even the A&M loss, you could have gotten away with, right?
If you were going to win a championship, it was this year. And you literally threw it away. I don't know. It's just stupid. It's stupid how that happened. That should have never happened. And let me get props to LSU. I know we were talking down about them,
Yes.
but they could have easily laid down and just let Florida walk all over them. But they went into the swamp and got a tough win, and I respect them for that because they had a ton of opt-outs. Earlier this week, one of their best tight ends, the best tight end on their team, says he's opting out and he might transfer. I mean, your entire team from last year that won a national championship
It's
is gone.
gone, and the rest of them have given up on you.
Yeah.
What I actually spoke to, I actually really weird reference. I was speaking to my dad about this earlier today, and I personally think, aside from you take away the big games about the SEC championships, the Alabama run over last year, the college football playoff, you take away those big major implication games. Yesterday may have been the biggest game that Coach O's ever won, and this is why. Like you just said, the deck was stacked against him. They were 13-point underdogs, 12.5-point underdogs.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
And by all definitions, if you would have asked me, hey, man, you want to watch the LSU Florida game? I would have been, because besides the fact that I was at work, I'd have been like, no, I could think of 20 other things I'd rather do. Because that game's going to be a run over. And they did not let the noise get to them. They caught Florida already looking toward Alabama. And Florida didn't realize they were playing LSU until it got to dire straits, because LSU took them serious for 60 minutes. You've got to commend Ed Orgeron. There's something to be said for that.
Absolutely. I respect the hell out of it. I'm glad they got that win. Not only because, my disdain towards Florida, but I really think that was a big I wouldn't say statement, but kind of season.
We're still here.
Yeah,
we're still here.
Season-saving win because
it says we're going to be back.
Yeah,
it's a matter of time.
It's I mean, they had a freshman quarterback playing. You just lost a generational talent in Joe Burrow.
Right.
You just lost all these NFL wide receivers. Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall opted out.
Not to mention Joe Brady.
Joe Brady. Yeah, you can't implement an offense through 1 year and then expect everybody to get it once that man is gone. You lose Justin Jefferson, Thaddeus Moss, pretty much the entire O-line.
Clyde
Edwards-Helaire. And that's just the offense. That is just the offense. And don't even get me started on defense. You pretty much lost the entire defense. And to come out to a top 5, top 10 team that has playoff aspirations while your team's in the gutter and win and gut it out in the swamp.
And what's the reason they won that game? Because why not?
Yeah. They had nothing to lose. They laid it all on the line, and they got to win.
And this is why we love college football, because Ed Orgeron came in with the oldest of old school mentalities. Why not us today? Why not? If we already knew we were going to lose, we wouldn't play the game. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. And I am extremely impressed with LSU and extremely unimpressed with Florida. That being said, to round everything out, big props to the SEC in general. I don't usually commend Greg Sankey if I can help it, just because it's kind of cliche and weird to praise a commissioner. I feel like that's always odd and kind of makes me uncomfortable. But I do want to commend Greg Sankey and all the athletic directors in the SEC and college football wide, for that matter, for getting through a season in a year that we could have never imagined. We started a podcast over Zoom because we had to use this platform for classes, things that we've all had to adapt to. I think I've been very impressed with the way, aside from the 1 week where literally everyone in the SEC got COVID.
Yeah.
But that aside, the fact that we only had that one wave is remarkable. And I'm infinitely impressed that we're still going to get a college football playoff. We're still going to play the SEC championship. It's going to look a little different than it has in the past, but we made it happen.
Yeah, the fact that we even had football this fall is amazing. It's a compliment to all the staffs, medical teams on every school, every conference. they tried their best to put a product on the field, and honestly, I think they did a good job. I mean, the SEC, we played almost every game, and if they didn't play every game, they tried to reschedule, and if they didn't, it is what it is. But
I think
most games,
there are, what was it, 50? How many games did we play this year? 50 games, correct? Yes, 5 games every day.
Yep.
Teams, 10 weeks. 10 games, 10 weeks. So of the 50 games that the SEC was supposed to play, 49 of them got played. Georgia Vanderbilt's not going to happen. Really doesn't matter.
hey, it might happen. Talking about
It's looking slim to none. It would be great if it did. Like you said, there's a chance that we play all 50 games, and there's
I
something
hope it
to
happens
that.
because I have tickets to that game. It's the only game I might get to go to this year. I hope so.
But that in and of itself there's something to be said for it, and that's not just to go out to the like you said. It's not just to go out to our ads and our commissioners, but to our medical teams, to our staff, to all the staffs across the SEC, to our players more than anything. People don't realize how much these kids give up and sacrifice in their normal lives. They couldn't do anything this year.
Yeah.
And because it was either you don't do anything and you play football, or you don't play football and then you are not around your friends that you play football with. Same goes for all sports. We're playing basketball now. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm so impressed. So I do think that I'm not usually the kind of person that gets all worked up over COVID, because I do have faith that we will get this problem under control, hopefully soon, so we can all go back to normality. And next time I'm working a game in Starkville, Mississippi, I can't hear afterwards because of the cowbells. I'm actually ready for that to happen. But there is that's I don't want to ramble too long, but that is something that I think we're both appreciative of, and everyone in the SEC did your part, and not a single other conference can say that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The Big Ten can't. The ACC can't. The Pac-12 sure as hell cannot.
No shot.
This was a successful season, regardless of how bad we beat up on each other. True, false?
True.
We're playing an SEC championship. We're going to get a playoff. We'll have a bowl projection show coming up for you guys, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us, Clack. It's been an honor.
Yes, sir.
Let's wrap this bad boy up. How about it?
All right, boy.
We'll see y'all next time.